I don't want to have to do this, but I'm going to try to make my case once again. Wait a minute in case somebody shows up. Because when I first had my flat earth epiphany, I was under the impression, I was so naive. I was like, oh wow, as soon as I explain this to everybody, they're going to realize. They're just going to be like, oh fuck, why do we never think of that? That's crazy. But my luck at getting people to see what I see in this situation has been really next to nil, and it baffles me to no end. So I will attempt to explain it. Sorry, I can't smoke pot on camera. I get a slap on the wrist from YouTube. Anybody out? Is there anybody out there? Is there anybody out there? Is there anybody out there? Not good. Hello. Is there anybody in there? Anybody in there? Just nod if you can hear me. Is there anyone in there? Can you show up? I got something to share with you. There'll be no more spinning and rotating. Those days are through. There is no globe you are not spinning. Even though the Globers think they're winning, they just haven't listened to what I have to say. And usually when they do, they just turn the other way. When I first had this epiphany, I was like, holy shit. I can't believe I never really thought about this. Now I'm still trying to get people to understand why I changed my perspective about this land. And I'm playing this song, it wasn't even planned. Off the back of my hand, off the cuff. I'm just trying to kill some time and hopefully someone shows up to try to listen. Fucking me, man. I could just tell give my testimony to a blank audience. I'm used to it. Here's the thing. Here's why I have to depart from reality if I need to believe that the earth is a globe. And it's quite simple, but yet I can't get a fucking soul to understand what I'm talking about. What's up, Scott Level Realm? Well, here's somebody. Now I have reason to go on with this video, that is. Because watching the flat earth, like flat round table, the flat table, flat earth round table today was funny, man. I'm just like, dude, it really is becoming kind of surreal for me, and this, like, it should be for everybody, but I don't think it is. I mean, all those main flat earth heads that were there today, I was surprised that nobody's just calling it how it is, really. And it's kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of just embarrassing. Like, the whole thing with like Duffy like trying to drill Flatzoid for like, where's the South Pole at? Where's it at? Show me where it's at. And it's like, dude, and Flatzoid wouldn't answer him or give him a straight answer, and it's just this back and forth, and you can tell that they're both like thinking that the other one's ridiculous, you know, and I'm just on the outside going, these guys are both ridiculous. But basically, the conversation was, it just was, they're pussyfooting around it. It's like, hello, they don't think there's a South Pole, which means that they don't think that your trip was real. That's what you need to be talking about. Because if they don't think there's a South Pole, that means that everything that the TFE presented was fake. It wasn't real. So that's how the conversation needs to start, right there. Not like, where's the South Pole? It's like he shouldn't be asking that question. That's what his whole thing. That's what he went and showed you. There it is, the spot where the sun circles down there. That's out there, whatever. That would otherwise be the pole, right? Since there's another one, there's two spots. And say there's two poles. You know, it's pretty. This is like kindergarten stuff, you know. So it's like he believes he went and showed you that there's another pole down there in the south. I mean, that's what his videos and his whole trip like claims. I mean, that's what their videos show. I mean, I can't say whether or not I believe it's real, and for it to be a final experiment or final observation, that's ridiculous. It needs to happen at least 2 more times by different groups each time in the following 2 years, at least. And I think, you know, because if we don't see the same thing that they saw next year, well then, well, we got some major issues and some major shit that's going to go down. And but if we don't see it next year, but then we see it again the following year, I mean, it's like, this is the kind of data we need. And for it to taking this long for this to happen, that's sus alone right there on its face. Like, why the fuck is the government base that's down at the South Pole? Why doesn't it have a single 24-hour video of the sun? It should have nothing but that, but there isn't a single one. So that's sus. Why did it take a bunch of flat earthers and fucking ragtag Globers to go down there and fucking prove it? Well, that should have been like, NASA should have had that shit blasted on blast like since they fucking found it or whatever. If that's their home run, like why in the fuck has it taken this long for it to become just like officially documented scientifically or whatever? Because it wasn't. I mean, it's just so sus if you ask me, and ask anybody really. It just, if you've been along for the ride the whole time, it's really pretty fucking weird. And so like, I can't quite fully accept it 100% because of the whole backstory. It just seems so weird. And I want to be scientific about it. I'm like, well, let's just go down there again next year, get another group of people to go, and then the following year. And then after we get like 3 years of data, then we can really like, because I mean, we're starting over from scratch here. So if it's the sort of thing where it's not always like that. And that's why there was no 24-hour videos on the government base before this. If it's the sort of thing where it's not always the phenomenon that we're seeing, then that's something we need to know. Everybody needs to know, because then that changes everything. But if if it's something that everybody sees when they go down there, then it's something we also need to know, and it gives the TFE more credence. You know, if we can actually repeat that observation, that's how science is supposed to work. So it needs to be treated like that, instead of this, we showed you this like childish battle, you know, where it's like, come on, man, like, that's not the way we do this. It's not how scientists, you know, we're trying to study the science, you know. This is like the study of reality. It's not like a battle or like a fucking thing where we troll or punk each other or something. That's not how science is supposed to be conducted. I see I've already lost my audience, but at any rate, here's my point. Here's why I will never be able to accept the globe without departing from what I know to be reality. And I'll explain this right now, even though I don't have an audience. I don't give a fuck. I'm just going to make my statement here. If anyone thought I was going back to the globe, I'm going to explain to you right now why I can't do that without departing from reality, which is something I'm trying not to do. Scott, you just missed out. I'm about to explain to you something that you should have stayed to hear. I thought you were a level realm guy. you're gonna miss the punchline here. It's a good one too. Nobody else even talks about this. This is the one channel where I feel like I have the best flat Earth argument, and nobody wants to fucking hear it. That is also sus, in my opinion. I've been screaming this for fucking 8 years, and nobody fucking has said anything about it yet. It blows my mind. I lose sleep over this. It pisses me off. I'm gonna explain it. It's super simple and it's fucking silly, really. It's stupid silly. I'll make it concise. If you draw a circle on the ground, can you draw a smaller circle around the outside of it? Nope. Okay, now imagine that circle. So the circles are gonna keep getting bigger, right? So if you start with a circle, you draw a circle on the ground, and then you draw a circle around the outside of it, right? It gets bigger. And then you draw another circle on the outside of that one, it gets bigger and bigger. And they're called concentric circles, right? So you're making concentric circles on the ground, and you're expanding outward evenly in every direction. You start anywhere. Do you think that if you were just expanding outward evenly like that indefinitely, that you would always be making circles? Like, do you think that circle would just get bigger and bigger? And that it would always be a circle, no matter what, until you ran out of room on Earth to expand into? You think you would always have a circle? You could even like do this where it's like, say you're standing somewhere and you're in the middle of an imaginary circle that's going around you. Now, if that circle began to expand evenly in every direction, we're talking about a circle on the ground. It's an imaginary circle you're standing in the middle of. If that circle begins to expand evenly in every direction, outward, getting wider and wider, evenly, with you right in the middle where it started. If it were to keep expanding like that indefinitely, do you think you would always remain right there in the middle? And do you think it would always be a circle until it ran out of room or whatever? I mean, it seems like a pretty obvious yes. I think most people in the world would answer yes. I think I would always be in the middle. If it started with me, the circle on the ground starts with you, and then it starts expanding outward evenly in every direction. Do you think you're always going to remain right there in the middle? If it just went out, expanding indefinitely in every direction, evenly, a circle moving outward? For one thing, I want to know, do you think it'll always be a circle? And for another thing, do you think you'll always be in the middle as long as you don't move until it runs out of room to expand or whatever on Earth? I think most people would say yes. It seems to it's hard to make an argument against that, really. Of course it would always be a circle. It starts as a circle, you're just moving outward. Why wouldn't it be? Well, yeah, I believe that's the correct answer, yes, and I believe you'd always be in the middle too, but if you think you live on a globe, well, that's not the correct answer. The answer is no, because that circle can only widen as wide as the median of Earth, which is supposedly 24,000 miles roughly in circumference. That's how far that circle can widen. After that, it has to shrink. But the thing is, it's not that circle that starts to shrink. This is where it gets tricky. If your circle expanded all the way to the median, let's say you start at the North Pole, expands all the way to the equator, that's the biggest that circle can get. After that, it has to start shrinking back down to the other side of the Earth. After that circle passes the median, for one thing, you're no longer in the middle of it, because now that circle is closing in around a different center location that you're not in. And for another thing, that circle is no longer a circle. It arcs the other direction. It's a reverse circle now, and it's closing in around a different direction, on a different center point that you're no longer standing in the middle of. Imagine that circle being your property. Your property would widen and widen and widen all the way to like the median, 24,000 miles of circumference. At that point, if it kept widening, you can't fit more area, more property into a smaller perimeter. So what happens after you pass the median is your circle arcs the other direction, and now it's circling the property you don't own. And you're not, because you're widening your property, but now you're actually shrinking the perimeter. It's no longer a circle. Now you have a reverse circle shaped of property, because you're running out of room on the globe and you're closing in on the different center location somewhere else. I think that's whack, and that's where I have to depart from reality in order to believe in the globe. But I can't get anyone even to listen to me, so I give up. I don't give up, actually, but I give up right now because it's ridiculous. Nobody gives a fuck.